The ASEAN spirit has been about collaboration, not only within itself, but with many external partners. Now, to discuss ASEAN spirit of collaboration, cooperation, and unity, I am joined by Indonesia's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Pak Pahala Mansury. Bapak, thank you so much for speaking to C today.
Thank you.
But so, as I mentioned, ASEAN is seemingly seeking to expand its collaborations with countries from other regions, including Pacific Island countries. Now, the ASEAN Indo-Pacific Forum, or the AIPF, is a flagship event of the 43rd ASEAN Summit. So can you just explain to us, and maybe the public and the audience, what exactly is the AIPF, what are its goals, and why is it so significant that it become a flagship event of the ASEAN Summit this year?
Yeah, so AIPF this year is actually an inaugural event.
Right.
This is actually being done during the chairmanship of Indonesia, and this is actually going to be not just a side event, but it is a flagship event, meaning that it is actually parts and parcel of the summit itself. Now, the idea behind this is actually this is the implementation of the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. In 2019, ASEAN has an outlook about the Indo-Pacific region, whereby what we intend to do with the forum is to really develop the habit and also the mindset of collaboration. Collaboration in terms of developing the welfare of the population, in terms of economic cooperation.
Yeah.
So this is actually really how are we going to be able to further develop inclusiveness, not only within the ASEAN countries, but I think also to within the context of today's theme of the summit.
Yep.
Is how is it that we are going to be able to develop some of the challenges and opportunities to be able to develop ASEAN as the epicentrum of growth, in particular the sources of growth in the Indo-Pacific region. So this is really the idea to be able to develop further collaboration. And I think in light of the today's geopolitical tension, we also want to make sure that what is actually going to be enhanced and to be developed is the collaboration aspect amongst the members of the ASEAN and also the partners within the Indo-Pacific region.
Right. Right. Well, indeed, collaboration is important, but maybe just explain to us the benefit of ASEAN collaborating with Pacific Island countries, maybe in terms of economic value or the benefit, and to the people of ASEAN as well.
Yeah, so it is not Pacific Islands country, but it is actually the Indo-Pacific.
Right.
As you know, the concept of Indo-Pacific, it is actually the two continents and also the two big oceans of the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
So this is actually a group of countries or the regions that is actually contributing to about 65% of the global growth right now, and about 60% of the population. So this is actually a big part of the global economy.
Right.
This is actually a big part of the future global growth. And therefore, what we intend to do is how are we going to be able to position ASEAN as one of the strategic regions within the Indo-Pacific regions, and to be able to continue to become the driver of growth within the Indo-Pacific. Now, I talked about some of the opportunities that we intend to do in line with the current theme of today's summit of ASEAN, which is really discussing about how are we going to be able to develop the epicentrum of growth within ASEAN. And there are many aspects of that. I think what we actually focus today during the ASEAN Indo-Pacific Forum is about the green infrastructure, because we need to develop the green infrastructure, not only just infrastructure, to be able to accelerate the growth within the region. There is approximately about 310 billion US dollars of investment that will probably be required to be able to develop every year, to be able to develop this infrastructure within the ASEAN region. Number two is that developing the resilience of the global of the supply chain within the regions. It's also about developing the next growth driver within the region, and that constitutes the digital economy as the next driver of growth. But not only that, tourism, as well as creative industries are other industries that we think are going to be also the driver of the growth to be able to achieve the concept of the epicentrum of growth within the region.
Right, and so, what have been the results so far? Are there any concrete collaboration projects between ASEAN and the Indo-Pacific Forum that are already being planned or have already been confirmed?
So we have already identified about 93 ready to implement projects within ASEAN. For us to actually push forward, this is actually going to be part of the deliverables and also going to be part of the joint, the annex of the joint statement that we have within the summit. These 93 projects, the value is approximately about 38 billion US dollar. Wow. And we are also pushing forward the potential project. And these potential projects valued at about $17 billion. So hopefully through this forum, we are not only going to be able to discuss about it, but we are also going to allow better context of the business community, not only within ASEAN, but also beyond that within Indo-Pacific region. And that's why we have about 2,500 participants of this forum. And we also have business meetings. There are already about 150 participants approximately that are actually signing up for these one-on-one meetings. So we hope that this will make the cooperation within the region is actually more concrete with very concrete deliverables as well.
Right, I was just about to say, those are many concrete deliverables, 93 projects as you mentioned. That's in those sectors that you mentioned, green infrastructure and digital as well.
Digital, green infrastructure, and also I mentioned about the resilience of the supply chain. Okay. That also includes food security within that topic, as well as tourism and creative industry.
Okay. We are still living in a world with many challenges, geopolitical tensions. We're still coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, still recovering from it. Some high inflation, economic downturns are about. Now, just explain to us, how will the 43rd ASEAN Summit, chaired by Indonesia, aim to provide solutions for those current challenges, Bob?
Well, I guess for ASEAN to continue, I think this year it is expected that we are going to be growing at about 4.5 to 4.6. I think the expectation also for next year for the ASEAN region also to be able to growing at similar level. So as I mentioned, we need to find the other driver of growth, the additional growth driver. And I think as an example of a concrete things that we are actually going to be doing, ASEAN is actually in the process of discussing and negotiating what we call the digital economy framework agreement. Through this agreement, we hope that we will be able to more than double the size of the digital economy from approximately our expectation of the digital economy going to be at about $1 trillion US by the year of 2030 within the ASEAN region, to double it to about 2 trillion rupiah. And that will be done through multiple things, like for example, better cyber security standards, by being able to actually mobilize digital talents, by being able to allow cross-border e-commerce transaction, by allowing, for example, to have better personal identification verification across the borders, because usually this verification is actually a very important part. So this is actually an example of what are we going to do to try to not only integrate, enable also better transaction across the border, but also by doing so, we are also going to be able to double the size of the digital economy.
Right, and of course, many institutions and external parties have said that Southeast Asia and ASEAN is a bright spot in this seemingly gloomy economy. Bapak Pahala Mansury, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs for Indonesia, thank you so much for speaking to us today.